Welcome to Kara's CURES, where we explore the cutting edge of wellness. And we can't talk about being well without making sure our mental health is strong. So do you know someone who's struggling right now, maybe with the blues or COVID challenges, but you're just not sure how to help? My guest, psychologist Dr. Kara Sundlun, is here to talk about how to start a conversation with a loved one. Welcome, Dr. Kara.
Thank you, Kara.
You know, so many are struggling with the winter blues, or maybe they've got COVID, or they're still covering COVID challenges, or just feeling overwhelmed. So what's the first thing we say if we want to help?
I think it's really important that, as you said, we acknowledge that there's a lot of people out there that are struggling, and we all know them. We all know those people that are struggling, whether, again, it's the winter blues, or they've had COVID, or they have a family member who has COVID. There's financial issues, right? Things are so in flux and feel so uncertain. And what we need to do is to extend a hand to those people, those friends, those loved ones, those neighbors who are not doing well. And very often people really, because of pride and because of other things, they don't want to ask for help. Even though, myself and my colleagues, we say all the time, asking for help is the greatest sign of strength. So we need to do things, not just to say to someone, let me know what I can do to help, because they're not going to ask. So we need to do things in a more of kind of like assumptive way. So listen, I'm dropping by some snacks at your house around 6 o'clock. I'll leave them outside your door. I'm going grocery shopping and have extra time. Are there a few items that I can pick up for you? I made an extra tray of lasagna and I'm going to leave it outside your house around 6 o'clock. So it's an acts of service or doing things for other people. It's just a way to be kind and be a little bit helpful.
So the important thing is to be specific, and we don't even need to say to them, oh, are you struggling? In fact, you would recommend that we not do that, but just showing up is helpful.
Yeah, because of pride, because of so many different reasons, and I think sometimes people worry, well, I'm struggling, I'm really having a hard time. I think everyone else is too, so I can't ask anyone for help. But everyone's at different levels. Maybe someone struggled more a month ago and they're doing okay now, and they have a little bit more energy and they want to, do something kind for someone else. So knowing that people are not going to necessarily ask for help, it's taking that extra effort to do something for someone. Is Wednesday a good day for me to drop off dinner? I have something for you. And we all know those people that are a little bit more reluctant or reticent, and we need to do this when we come from a place of non-judgmentalness, lack of judgment. So, for that person that won't even say anything, so I'm going to list off a few things, say yes or no to things that I can do for you, and list off a few things and let them say yes or no.
Yeah, I learned this from, covering grief too, whether if someone's lost someone, and in some cases, I guess we have collective grief, that being specific is important, right? Because if we just say, call me if you need anything, I'm here for you, often people are not going to respond to that.
They're not going to respond to that because it has to do with that inherent belief that, when someone's really struggling, often they carry that belief that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve help, so they're not going to ask for it. So as a friend, as a loved one, as a neighbor, it's just doing something to sort of reach out and extend a hand, extend a kindness. And what I always say, even for the recipient of that, is that the person that's extending the kindness, engaging in that altruistic behavior, it's equally important for them that it's accepted because it makes them feel good about themselves. I did something kind to help someone today. That helps them feel good about themselves. So that kindness and that altruism goes both ways.
Yeah, so don't say when someone says, hey, can I drop off a meal? No, that's okay. I don't need anything. It actually is good for us to accept it.
It's good for us to accept it. It's good for our well-being. It's good for our hearts. It's good, it's good for the person that wants to do something to help. And there are those individuals who will say, oh, I don't really, I don't really need any help. And and you might say, okay, but I'm going to check in again in a couple of days and I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to drop something off for you. I'm going to the grocery store? Can I get something for you? So when someone's really having a hard time, I would be a little bit persistent and not just let it go after one time.
Yeah, and I love some of your suggestions because people are struggling. They're not going to ask for help. So these are some fun things to do. They don't cost any money. How about a laundry party where you say, I'll bring a snack, we can do our laundry together and catch up?
Right. So do something proactive. It's not about taking someone out to dinner or doing something fancy or even spending money. Time and attention are the greatest gifts that you can give to someone. I always say they're the greatest gifts that you give to your children, but they're the greatest gifts that you give to your loved ones and your friends as well. Knowing someone who has young children, and it's, can be very overwhelming, saying, I want to come over and spend some time with your kids. Maybe you can do something for yourself or just take a shower or a bath, right? It's the time and attention that is such a great gift that you give to someone.
And speaking of children, if they're the ones struggling, I know you are a child psychologist, is the way we approach them differently? I mean, obviously, we're not going to offer to do their laundry. They're probably already getting that done. But the way that we reach out to a struggling child, is it different?
Well, I think it is. You can say to your kids, and because ideally you want them to learn the skill to identify what's going on and ask for help. So you would say, please let me know if there's something I can do to help you. But as parents and as guardians and as caretakers, we often know what makes our kids happy. So you bring them a special snack, or you get them a glass of water without them asking, or you say, can we sit and read together? So it's to do something that they like, that gives them some peace or some joy. But again, it's some form of time and attention. Those are the greatest gifts that you can give.
Would you say that everybody is struggling in some form right now? I think people feel guilty, like, everyone else has it so much worse, so I don't need to worry about me.
I would say that a lot of people right now have some form of social, emotional, financial struggle. There's so many of us, but there's different levels of it, right? And as I said, a month ago, someone may have been struggling more. They may have had a family member that had COVID and they felt drained and they felt exhausted and they felt worried. But now they feel a little bit better. Not great, but a little bit better. And with that improved emotional energy comes an opportunity to say, I have a little bit better energy now. Let me do something nice for someone else. Because as I say, energy begets energy. The more good energy you give out, the more emotional space you have for good energy to come back in.
Yeah. And I know you're doing this. You're seeing people. We've heard that, whether or not you think people really, a lot of times people put on a good face, but we definitely are seeing, more and more waiting lists for people getting help. I know you have a lot of kids coming into your office. Are you noticing that people are they're still suffering from the effects of the pandemic and everything else and dealing with a lot?
Yes. And, referrals for all levels of mental health care are through the roof, right? Inpatient, outpatient, ambulatory, private practice. So my colleagues in private practice, have wait lists or have people that are frequently calling them several times a week. Lots of referrals coming in. So we know in general that people are struggling. The beautiful thing is they're asking for help. There's just not a lot of help out there right now. But what we know is that the little things that we can do for our loved ones, our siblings, our parents, our kids, our neighbors, the little things that we can do just creates a little bit less burden for someone else.
I love how you say time and attention is really the most valuable thing. It's not the spending of money or even going out and dropping off something really special to them. It's just being there. It's also, I guess, about validation because, often I think we want to give advice, but you say some of the best things to say. Life does feel overwhelming right now. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the best you can. Or even saying, I'm not sure what to say to you, but I want you to know I'm thinking of you. So when we don't know what to say, sometimes just acknowledging that we're thinking of someone is the right thing to say.
Right. And that is, it's identifying how you feel or identifying the need or the feeling in a situation and putting it out there. So yeah, I've had my overwhelming days too. Sometimes the people I love have overwhelming days. Know that we're in this together. So reducing isolation is a huge gift that you also give people besides time and attention, acknowledging that we all struggle, that it's okay to struggle, and that I'm approaching you in a non-judgmental way because I know that we all need help sometimes.
And that's an important thing. I guess we can leave it there is in your line of work, everybody has struggles. You've said this before. There are no Hallmark families. There are no perfect families. No matter what someone looks like, or there are struggles going on. And I guess sometimes if we're close to them, we notice that even when they're not ready to admit it.
Yes. And right. There are no Hallmark families. What I also like to say is social comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
So if we look around and we say, oh, this family, they're doing great, or this individual, that they're doing great too, I must be the only one struggling, right? And that isolation makes it so much worse when you are struggling. So knowing that everyone has things that they're struggling with, there are always people out there that might have it better, but might have it worse. But that comparison only serves to make you feel worse about yourself.
Well, Dr. Laura, some great advice. I hope people, maybe they want to share this interview. There's some great conversation starters out there. Just letting people know that you're there for them and reaching out is a very powerful thing to do.
Kara, you and I are good enough and we can do this.
Thank you, Dr. Laura. I appreciate it. And you can find more content on wellness right here on the Channel 3 app. You can look under Kara's Cures and see past interviews. You can also follow me on social media at Kara Sundlun. I will share them there. Have a great day. Be well.